This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Got some important updates to share with you with midterm elections tomorrow. Both Democrats and Republicans trying to get the last word in to get your vote. I'll play you both perspective video clips, one Democrat, one Republican. Also, President Biden just got fact-checked by Twitter for saying the wrong thing about gas prices. You don't want to miss what was said there. And will stimulus checks be handed out by states in 2023? The answer may surprise you. I'll let you also know what's going on with the $200 to $1,000 checks, and I'll give you some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a more than mundane Monday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below and subscribe to the channel for more straight-to-the-point daily updates on financial matters that matter to you. And I'm giving out $200 checks to my subscribers, picking the winners in just a couple of days. Details down in the description below to sign up for that. Let's get into it here. So Twitter fact-checks Biden gas price claim. So what is going on here? President Biden put out a tweet and it got fact-checked by Twitter. This is pretty big right here. So President Biden's tweet was, right now, the most common price at gas stations across the country is $3.19 per gallon. That's progress. So below the tweet, Twitter added some clarification on what common gas prices mean. The fact check distinguished between the most common gas price, which is $3.19, and the average, which is $3.80. So I guess the common is what occurs most, and average is if you take the highest and lowest and see what the price is in between. Is this something to get upset about? Should President Biden have clarified that? Well, I don't know. I think that's very interesting. But what he says here also in the past is the oil industry has a choice. Oops. All right. Either invest in America by lowering prices for consumers at the pump and increasing production and refining capacity, or pay a higher tax on your excessive profits and face other restrictions. So President Biden trying to be big and bold with the oil companies, having them stop doing stock buybacks and pass on the savings to consumers. So that's what President Biden wants. But about this tweet, is this a big deal? Not a big deal? Is it just a misunderstanding? Play on words? Let me know your thoughts on that. Moving on, economy and inflation, top public's agenda going into the midterm elections, according to a poll. So despite saving democracy or inflate or whatever's going on. But inflation is the top one. So 26% identify economy as their single most important issue determining their vote. 23% cite inflation. So yeah, looks like inflation is it. Despite all the other issues, people don't want to pay more for things that they don't have to, or that they used to not pay for more. Here is the first Republican clip from Tim Scott.
He's done a phenomenal job. He's traveled all over the country on behalf of Republican candidates everywhere. Great to have you back, Senator. Thank you. Here we are, 5 days to go, closing arguments. Democrats are desperate. They say all Republicans want to cut Social Security, Medicare, VA benefits. It's all a lie. There's not one person that's advocating that, and they seem desperate.
I smell desperation in the air. Sean, you're 100% right. What you said during the monologue is so important. It's crystal clear. If we are to win the majority in the Senate, it takes every single voter in a battleground state who is sick and tired of being sick and tired, Republicans, Democrats, and independents, to show up and vote for the Republican candidate. Remember this, Sean. In the state of Georgia, January 5th, 2021, the loss of a single Senate seat cost the American taxpayers more than $4 trillion. One seat. That seat could be held tomorrow as we get through this election by General Don Bolduc, a true American patriot. Winning in New Hampshire might be the state that takes us across and gives us a majority. In Georgia, North Carolina, Ohio, Wisconsin, we have to win. Nevada, Arizona, every single voter, hear me clearly. Your vote matters today more than it has ever mattered. We must finish this race. Don't run to the finish line, run through the finish line. There is too much at stake. I understand the power of the American dream.
Don't forget Pennsylvania. Don't forget the state of Washington either.
Tiffany Smiley, I spoke with her day before yesterday. She is closing the gap. We're sending more resources her way because we know that the red wave is coming, but it doesn't happen all by itself. We have to make sure from sea to shining sea, we show up, get our voters out, and make sure that you call your friends. If you don't have one, Lindsey Graham says, make one today. We need every single voter showing up, showing out, and we will have a majority in the Senate. We'll have a 25-seat majority in the House, and we will restore sanity to the greatest nation on God's green earth.
What is your thoughts on the Republican perspective from Tim Scott? A lot of words being thrown out, a lot of promises being made from both Republican and Democrat. So Booker saying Democrats have very strong pathway to adding seats in the Senate. Is that true? Take a look at what Democrat Cory Booker has to say.
Let's turn now to Democratic Senator Cory Booker. He's not on the ballot this year, but he's been crisscrossing the country to campaign for his fellow Democrats, helping to get out the vote in key battleground states ahead of Tuesday's election. He's been to Arizona, Wisconsin, Nevada, North Carolina, just to name a few, and now he's here on This Week. Good morning, Senator. It's great to have you on this morning. We're just 2 days from Election Day. In mid-September, 538 Senate forecast gave Democrats a 71% chance of holding on to the Senate majority. Now Republicans have a 55% chance of taking it from you. What happened?
Well, look, the party in the White House usually loses during midterms, but the reality is we still have a very strong pathway, not just to keeping the Senate, but really picking up seats in in Pennsylvania and in places like Wisconsin and North Carolina. This election still is in the balance. And the reality is we're bucking what are usual trends. And I think we're bucking them because folks know at the end of the day, do they want to go back to the sort of Donald Trump politics that divided our nation, undermined our democracy, and really preference? Their signature bill was a big giveaway to the largest corporations and the richest in America. And even though our economy is tough, people think about it and say, wait a minute, this is the party trying to protect unions. This is the party that made sure we did things to lower prescription drug costs and lower healthcare costs. That this is the party, at the end of the day, that's trying to protect fundamental freedoms like the right to control your own body. So I think that this is a tough election season. It's a midterm election. But I still see a pathway for us to maintain control of the Senate.
So what are the challenges with that? We know Chuck Schumer said you might even gain seats in the Senate. How does that happen?
Well, it happens by voter turnout. I mean, when I'm going around the country, I see a lot of enthusiasm. But at the end of the day, we've got to translate to that, to people getting out. And I see a lot of candidates. Mitch McConnell admitted that they have a candidate quality problem on the other side. And so from Georgia to Pennsylvania, people have real stark choices. Out in Arizona, they have choices between somebody that wants to preserve our democracy, bring people together, versus a type of brand of politics really that undermines our democracy. There's a lot on the line, and we have to remember, after what we saw at January 6th, Republican or Democrat, we should be electing people that believe in our democracy, that believe in our traditions, and that ultimately want to unite people and not divide them. There's a culture of contempt in this country. You're seeing election workers get increased threats. You're seeing judges get increased threats. Heck, you're even seeing members of Congress, as we saw what happened with Paul Pelosi. Something is going wrong in our country where rising political violence, rising threats are really threatening who we are as a people. And I hope as people go to the polls, they elect folks that want to unite us, not divide us, that want to bring people together to focus on our common cause, not really be about contempt and anger.
But
this is
Senator,
a time for us to have sound government.
Senator, as we said, the economy is the top issue for 80% of Americans in our ABC Washington Post poll. And yet this week, and you're talking about this too, you had President Biden give a major speech on saving democracy, barely mentioning the economy or crime. Obviously, democracy is an important issue. But was that the right thing to be stressing at this moment in the midterms when so many Americans are worried?
You know, I've stood side by side with Catherine Cortez Masto in Nevada or Mark Kelly in Arizona, side by side with candidates Tim Ryan in Ohio. Every single one of them is talking about kitchen table issues. And when things are really stressed, which party has your back? Prescription drug costs, Democrats lowering them. Healthcare costs, Democrats lowering them. When it comes to creating good union jobs, we were the party that didn't just talk about Infrastructure Week, but got the biggest infrastructure bill, investments in our communities that we've seen in generations. At the end of the day, one party has shown when they were in power, they're giving the biggest tax cuts and tax breaks to the wealthiest. The other party, we were one vote shy of passing the biggest middle-class tax cut and working-class tax cut in American history, making the child tax credit permanent.
But
So
Senator, the polls
back,
have tightened. The polls have tightened. What about the messaging? Alyssa Slotkin from Michigan, one of the most vulnerable members of Congress, told the New York Times, the truth is Democrats have done a poor job of communicating our approach to the economy. If you can't speak directly to people's pocketbook and talk about our vision for the economy, you're just having half a conversation. Did Democrats miscalculate just how important this issue is?
You know, again, I'm looking at the Tip O'Neill saying all politics is local. And when I've stood with House members who are running for re-election and senators, I know what their messaging is. I know what their closing argument is that when this country is going through tough times, whether it's a pandemic or inflation rising, who is really going to have your family's back? And I've heard people show receipts of what we've accomplished in terms of helping to lower costs and really a firm message. We were one vote shy, as I said, of the biggest middle-class tax cut, one vote shy of protecting fundamental rights. The individual people I see out there campaigning are speaking towards the pocketbooks of this country and reminding people about what Donald Trump's agenda was when he had the reins, not just economic policy that favored the rich, but also things that undermined our very fundamental beliefs as a democracy.
Now that you've heard both the Democrat and Republican perspectives, I'm curious, who are you going to vote for? Has your vote changed for the midterm election? Was it going to be one party and you heard some things, now it's going to be the other party? Curious, if you feel like sharing, let me know your thoughts on that down in the description or down in the comments below, because midterm elections are just about to happen. So will states give out stimulus checks in 2023? Big question here. So basically what it's talking about is why state stimulus checks may or may not be a one-time thing. So we saw a lot of state stimulus checks in 2022, mainly because of state surpluses and because the states had a lot more money that they collected in taxes or other revenue, then they just passed that on to all the residents and gave out state stimulus checks. Some were really high, like California, multiple stimulus checks. Some were maybe as low as like $50 or $75, like Idaho. So when it comes to, is it going to happen in 2023? A lot of people are saying that there may not be a surplus in 2023, especially with a recession happening. So state stimulus checks don't seem likely, but because the state stimulus checks will be low, and if a recession happens, then there could be recession stimulus checks. So are federal stimulus checks off the table for 2023? No, basically because of a recession, that could give recession stimulus checks if the economy gets pretty bad. And also if Democrats maintain control. Those are two factors there. So, but state stimulus checks, not likely because of the same reason this year. Maybe because of another reason, not because of the surplus. And then millions of Americans still owed one-time relief checks between $200 and $1,050. Is money coming your way? So this is the California stimulus check. If you did not receive your California stimulus check yet, looks like payments hit accounts October 7th to October 25th. And the second round of direct deposits going out October 28th to November 14th, and then paper checks could be sent out as late as January 15th. So we're going to see a lot more of the $200 to $1,050 California stimulus checks. Still going to go out for a while. And that is all the news that I have for you today to hopefully brighten your day a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi, my name is Bill, and this is the tip of the day. Do you know what you should always know to do? Even though if you can't go travel or anything, you could always try to find something they could do in the area that you're at, or maybe you could probably go visit another state if you like have a car or so. And you could go to different places, but it doesn't always have to be traveling to different like countries and stuff. But oh my god. But whatever makes you happy, just do it. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate your support. Don't forget, I'm giving out $200 checks to my subscribers. Details down in the description below. Hopefully you have a great rest of your day. If you want to check out any of my other videos on my other channels, click right up here. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.